Happy morning, dear students. I welcoming you all to this online learning. So, in previous class, we have started the new chapter, Locomotion and Movement. In that, we have completed up to axial skeleton, right? Today, we will start with the appendicular skeleton. The bones of the upper and the lower limbs, along with their girdles, constitutes the appendicular skeleton. The appendicular skeleton is composed of 126 bones. It consists of pectoral girdle. The upper limbs are attached to the pectoral girdle, and the girdle is formed of two halves. Each half of the pectoral girdle consists of a clavicle or a collarbone and a scapula. A scapula is a large, thin, triangular bone situated in the dorsal surface of the rib cage. The clavicle articulates with the acromion. Below the acromion, a depression called glenoid cavity is present, in which the head of humerus to form the shoulder joint. Each clavicle is a long, slender bone with two curvatures which lies horizontally and connects axial skeleton with appendicular skeleton. So clavicle is a long bone. It connects the axial skeleton, that is the body of our skeleton, with the limbs. The upper limb consists of 30 separate bones. The skeleton of the arm, the region between the shoulder and the elbow, is the humerus. The head of humerus articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula and forms the shoulder joint. Distal end of the humerus articulates with the two forearm bones, the radius and the ulna. The forearm region between the elbow and the wrist is called as olecranon process, which is situated at the upper end of the ulna, which forms the pointed portion of the elbow. So you can see the pointed portion of the elbow. If you fold your hand, you can able to see the pointed portion that is called as the olecranon process. The hand consists of carpals, metacarpals and phalanges. Carpals is nothing but the wrist bones, which is 8 in number, and the metacarpals forms the palm and the palm bones, which are 5 in number, and phalanges are the digit bones, which are 14 in number. Next is the pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle is a heavy structure specialized for weight bearing. It is composed of two hip bones called coxal bones that secure the lower limb to the axial skeleton. Each coxal bone consists of three fused bones. You can see in this: ilium, ischium and pubis. At the fusion of ilium, ischium and pubis, a deep hemispherical socket called acetabulum is present on the lateral side of the pelvis. It receives the head of the femur or the thigh bone at hip joint and helps in the articulation of the femur. The ilium is the superior flaring portion of the hip bone. Each ilium consists of a secure joint with the sacrum posteriorly. The ischium is a curved bar of bone. The V-shaped pubic bone articulates anteriorly at the pubic symphysis. The pelvis of the male is deep and narrow with larger, heavier bones, and the female is shallow, wide and flexible in nature, and this helps during the pregnancy, which is influenced by the female hormone. So what is the nature of the pelvis in male and female? The pelvis of a male is deep and narrow with larger, heavier bones, whereas in female it is shallow, wide and flexible in nature. The lower limb consists of 30 bones, which carries the entire weight of the body. The bones of the lower limbs are thicker and stronger than the upper bones. The three segments of each lower limb are the thigh, the leg and the foot. The femur is the single bone of the thigh. It is the largest, longest and the strongest bone in the body. The head of the femur articulates with the acetabulum. Two parallel bones, tibia and fibula, form the skeleton of the leg or the shank. A triangular, thick patella forms the kneecap, which protects the knee joint anteriorly and improves the leverage of thigh muscles acting across the knee. The foot include the bones of ankle, the tarsus, metatarsus, and the phalanges. The tarsus is made up of 7 bones called tarsal bones. The metatarsus consists of 5 bones called metatarsals, and the phalanges consists of 14 bones in the toes, which are smaller than the other fingers. So that's all about the appendicular skeleton. Now we will see about the structure of a typical bone. Then we move on to structure of a typical long bone. A typical long bone has a diaphysis, epiphysis, and membranes. A tubular diaphysis, it's also called as shaft, forms the long axis of the bone. It consists of the central part called the medullary cavity or a marrow cavity. The epiphyses are the bone ends. Compact bone forms the exterior of epiphysis and the interior contains spongy bone with red marrow. The region where the diaphysis and epiphysis meet is called metaphysis. The external surface of the entire bone, except the joint surface, is covered by a double-layered membrane called periosteum. Periosteum. The outer fibrous layer is dense, irregular connective tissue. The inner osteogenic layer consists of osteoblast, that means bone forming cells, and secrete bone matrix elements, and osteoclast, that means bone destroying cells. So the inner layer consists of osteoblast and the osteoclast cells. In addition, there are primitive stem cells, that is osteoblast cells. Between the epiphysis and diaphysis is the growth plate or epiphyseal plate. So you have to draw a diagram for this long bone and you have to explain this. Next one is types of joints. What is meant by a joint? Joints are essential for all types of movement performed by the bony parts of the body. Joints are points of contact between the bones. There are different types of joints such as fibrous joints, cartilaginous joints, and synovial joint. Fibrous joints are immovable fixed joints in which no movement between the bones is possible. Example, sutures of flat skull bones or fibrous joints. Cartilaginous joints are slightly movable joints in which the joint surface are separated by a cartilage and slight movement is only possible. Example for this is adjacent vertebrae of the vertebral column. Third one is the synovial joints. These are freely movable joints. The articulating bones are separated by a cavity which is filled with a fluid called synovial fluid. Example for this is pivot joint. This pivot joint is found between atlas and axis. Atlas and axis is the first and the second vertebrae of the vertebral column. Next is the gliding joint between the carpals and saddle joint between the carpal and metacarpals in the hand. Ball and socket joint between the humerus and the pectoral girdle. Hinge joint is present between the knee. Next is the disorders of muscular and the skeletal system. There are various disorders of muscular system such as myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disorder affecting the action of acetylcholine at neuromuscular junction, leading to fatigueness, weakness, and paralysis of skeletal muscle. Acetylcholine receptors on the sarcolemma are blocked by antibodies, leading to weakness of these muscles. When the disease progresses, it can make chewing, swallowing, talking, and even breathing difficult. Myasthenia gravis is nothing but it's autoimmune disorder. It is due to the action of acetylcholine in the neuromuscular junction. Right? Next is tetany. Rapid muscle spasms occur in the muscles due to the deficiency of parathyroid hormone. Tetany is caused due to parathyroid hormone, resulting in the reduced calcium level in our body. Muscle fatigueness. Muscle fatigue is the inability of the muscle to contract after repeated muscle contraction. This is due to the lack of ATP and accumulation of lactic acid of anaerobic breakdown of glucose. So lactic acid is produced from the anaerobic breakdown of glucose in our body. So it leads to muscle fatigueness. Next is the atrophy. Atrophy is nothing but a decline of muscular activity results in the condition called atrophy, which result in the reduction in the size of muscle and make the muscle weak, which occurs with the lack of usage as in chronic bedridden patients. Next one is the muscle pull. Muscle pull is actually a muscle tear, a traumatic pulling of fiber producing a tear known as the sprain. This can occur due to sudden stretching of muscle beyond the point of elasticity. For example, இப்போ நம்ம உட்காந்துருக்கோம், டக்குன்னு திரும்புகிறோம், அப்போ நம்மளுடைய மசில் அந்த பொசிஷன் தாண்டி போச்சுன்னா அதுக்கு பேர் தான் மசில் புல். சப்போஸ் படிக்கட்டில் இறங்குறோம், கால் வந்து ஸ்லிப் ஆகிடும் இல்லையா, அப்போ கால் வந்து அதனோட பொசிஷன்லேருந்து மாறிடும் இல்லையா. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் எக்ஸாம்பிள். Back pain is the common problem caused by the muscle pull due to the improper posture with static sitting for long hours. Muscular dystrophy, the group of diseases collectively called as the muscular dystrophy, are associated with progressive degeneration of skeletal muscles. Next one is the disorders of skeletal system. So in skeletal system, the major disorders are osteoporosis and arthritis. Arthritis and osteoporosis. What is arthritis? Arthritis is an inflammatory or a degenerative disease that damages the joints. There are several types of arthritis such as osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and gout. What is osteoarthritis? From the name itself you can understand osteo means bone. The bone ends of the knees and the freely movable joints wear away as a person ages. The joints of the knees, hip, fingers, and vertebral column are affected. That is called osteoarthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis. The synovial membrane become inflamed. The synovial membrane is present in the between the two joints, right? So the synovial membrane become inflamed and there is an accumulation of fluid in the joints. The joints swell and become extremely painful. It can begin at any age, but symptoms usually emerge before the age of 50. Next one is the gout. Inflammation of joints due to accumulation of uric acid crystals or the inability to excrete this uric acid. It gets deposited in the synovial joint. Next is the osteoporosis. It occurs due to the deficiency of vitamin D and hormonal imbalance. The bone becomes soft and fragile. That means weak. It causes rickets in children and osteomalacia in adult females. It can be minimized with adequate calcium intake, vitamin D intake, and regular physical exercise. Next, what are the benefits of regular exercise? It's a very important 5-mark question. So, exercise and physical activity fall in 4 basic categories, that is endurance, strength, balance, and flexibility. Endurance increases the breathing and heart rate. They keep the circulatory system healthy and improve overall fitness. Strength exercises makes the muscles stronger. They help to stay independent and carry out everyday activities such as climbing stairs and carrying bags, etc. Balance exercises help to prevent falls, which is a common problem in older adults. Many strengthening exercises also improves balance. Flexibility exercises helps to stretch the body muscles for more freedom of movement of joints. So there are some beneficial changes in regular exercises. The muscle used in exercise grow larger and stronger. The resting heart rate goes down. More enzymes are synthesized in the muscle fiber. Ligaments and tendons become stronger. The joints become more flexible. Protection from heart attack, influences hormonal activity, improves the cognitive functions. Cognitive means it's a brain active. Prevents obesity, promote confidence, esteem, aesthetically better with good physique, overall well-being with good quality of life. It prevents stress, depression, and anxiety. During muscular exercise, there is an increase in metabolism. The oxygen need of the muscle is increased. This requirement is met with more oxygen with the RBCs available to the active sites. There is an increase in heart rate and cardiac output. Along with balanced diet, Physical activity plays a significant role in strengthening the muscles and bones. So that's all, we finished this lesson. In this lesson, all the questions are very important, and so many 2 marks and 5 marks are asked in this. It's also important in the NEET exam, in the NEET exam point of view. So go through that, read everything. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask me. Thank you.